Hi guys, welcome back to another video. So I'm on the training pitch. I'm going to put in a full dribbling session today. So I thought I'd show you all of the drills that I typically involve in my dribbling sessions. There's 5 drills in total, and then we do adapt a couple of them halfway through just to work on a few different components of dribbling, because there are different components. You need to be able to have close ball control, you need to be able to dribble with speed and change speeds with the ball. You also need to be able to change directions, and there's some other drills I'm going to show you as well. So there's going to be 5 drills in total. I'm going to show you how I lay out each of the drills with the cones, how much distance in between them. If you don't have cones, you can use other objects just to lay out as markers, but I would recommend getting a set of cones because it just makes your training sessions much easier. So that's what I'm going to be using today. We're going to go through each drill maybe 5 or 6 times through, and that's going to be a full dribbling session. So let's get into the first drill. First up is the cone weave, one of the most basic dribbling drills there is. So this is how I like to set it up. I begin with a gate, so I've got 2 cones placed 1 step apart. Then I take 5 steps up to the first weave cone, then each of the weave cones are 1 step apart. So they're pretty tight. We're working on close ball control to begin with, just to warm up. And then I take another 5 steps after I've placed 6 cones down to form another gate, because as I exit the weave, I like to accelerate a little bit forward. Then you start at either gate and you're just weaving in and out of the cones, and I like to vary up the footwork pattern each time I go through. So I might go through with the right foot only, the inside of the feet only, the left foot only, inside and outside, just switching it up all the time. And in fact, I've got a full video on 32 different exercises you can use going through the cone weave, so I'll put a link to that on the screen right now. But for this one, I'm just using all the different surface areas of the foot, just trying to get comfortable using all those different surface areas. Then after I've been through that maybe 6, 7, 8 times or so, I like to switch it up again. So this time I'm using the same course, but there's 2 steps in between each of those weave cones. So we're just widening it slightly so that we can travel through at greater speed, because not only do you want tight control through the cones, you want to be able to weave in and out at speed as well. It's a very effective dribbling method. So as you can see, just using the inside and outside of 1 foot at a time. So we'll go through with the right foot, then I return with the left foot as well. And as you'll notice, I'm able to get through the course a lot faster because those cones are slightly further apart. So a little bit of speed dribbling combined with close control. Next up is the Minefield Drill, one of my favorite drills for working on tight ball control. The only difference with this one is we're throwing down the cones randomly. So you're just going to take a handful of cones, throw them down in no particular order, and however they land is how the course is going to be. So we're going to go through the course using the inside and outside of both feet, even the sole at some points as well, but just trying to avoid those cones. So really working on our instincts. Because we haven't put the cones down in any particular pattern, we're not able to plan our route ahead like we could do with the cone weave. Once you've done the cone weave a few times, it becomes a bit familiar. So going into this one straight after is a good way to challenge your footwork, because it is so unpredictable and you have to use your instincts. So just going through, I like to do either 3 or 4 sets of 30 seconds, or if you want to challenge yourself, try and see for how long you can go through the course without touching the cones. It's going to involve a lot of concentration, but this will definitely improve your close ball control. It's a great one for working on using all the different surface areas of the foot to remain in full control. Then once you've done a few repetitions of the basic Minefield Drill, I like to adapt it to make it even more challenging. So what I've done here is I'm placing 4 cones around the minefield. And what we're going to be doing is starting at any of the cones with the ball. You've got to get through the minefield, out, and get around all of the cones and return back to the starting cone without touching any of the cones. And this is more challenging because every time you come into the minefield from a new angle, it's a completely different layout, because once you've been doing the minefield for a few times, you can start to develop some kind of pattern, get a rhythm going. So if you come in from every different angle, it just disrupts that. Number 3 is the diagonal weave. So this is another fundamental part of dribbling, being able to change the angle of the ball while remaining in motion. So being able to change direction while still being sharp, still being explosive, so you can get away from defenders. If you can change direction quickly, you're going to be very unpredictable and hard to defend against. So what I like to do is place 2 gates again, then I'll take 5 steps out to the right to place my first cone, 10 steps diagonally out to the left, and then 5 more steps to place another gate. And all we're doing is going around those cones, getting to the opposite gate, while going around the cones diagonally, trying to keep in full control of that ball. So what I like to do is take a touch of the ball with every step, making sure I'm tight around those cones, trying to keep it as close around those corners as possible. So I like to go through this a few times. Sometimes I might stop the ball at the gate. Sometimes I might even just go around the cone like this and then straight back to the start to challenge myself even more. So there's a little bit of fitness involved if you want to do the longer version, but I like to go through this about 6, 7, 8 repetitions or so until I feel happy and sharp with the ball at my feet. And then I like to adapt it even more to make it a bit more challenging. So as you can see here, I've placed 2 more cones. So this first red cone was 2 steps out to the right diagonally, and then another one 2 steps out to the left. So we're just adding a few more angles in around the course. So it's going to be changing up all the time. As you can see with the first 2, very tight angles. Then once we get around that third cone, we're actually exploding a little bit more. So a longer distance sprint with the ball and then getting around those tight corners once again. So this is going to be a bit more match realistic because you're not going to be going out for longer sprints all the time. Sometimes you're going to have to jink around defenders and you're going to have to change direction at acute angles, and it's going to be changing all the time. So this is a great one for working on that tight ball control, moving at speed while changing direction of the ball. Number 4 is the change of speed drill, which works on another part of dribbling that's often overlooked. So if you have the ability to speed up and slow down with the ball at any given second, you just become a lot more unpredictable. If you're always going at the same speed, it becomes easier for the defenders to read. So the ability to increase your speed with the ball and decrease it at any given second, you're going to be a far more effective dribbler. So that's what we're going to work on in this drill here. So the setup is we've got 4 gates about 8 steps apart. So we're not actually going through the gates, we're starting at either side of the bottom gate there with the ball at our feet, and we're just going to be constantly changing the speed every time we hit a cone. So as you can see, I'm starting slow, and then I immediately increase my speed between the 2 cones in the middle, then I slow down again, get around that top cone and repeat. So slow to the first cone, fast between the 2 middle cones, and then around that cone slowly. So always changing our speed all the time, learning how to increase the speed with the ball, keeping a touch of the ball with every step, and also learning how to slow down with the ball as well. Because if you don't soften your touch as you're slowing down, the ball's just going to get away from you and you're going to get intercepted. So this is a great drill for learning how to control the ball at different speeds. So for this one, I like to go through the course and back again 4 or 5 times. So you're getting a good amount of fitness in here as well. And you're changing the speed. So it's interval work, slowing down, speeding up. It's very football specific. But although this seems like a really simple drill, it is a skill that's often overlooked by most players. They have the ability to speed up with the ball, but not many players work on how to slow down with full control of that ball as well. So this is a great drill for learning all the different touches that you need in order to control the ball at different speeds. And number 5 is the turn drill. So we're using the exact same setup that we used for the change of speed drill, but all we're doing is taking away that 4th gate so that we're left with 3. So this one's going to be working on our sharp turns, which is an absolute fundamental part of dribbling. If you look at players like Eden Hazard, Lionel Messi, what they do with the ball is they use turns all the time to get away from their defenders. Sometimes they purposefully dribble in one direction to bait the defender into going with them, then they sharply turn on the ball and exploit the space and go in the opposite direction. So all we're doing is starting at the bottom gate here, dribbling up with speed to the middle gate, turning sharply on the ball, going back to the first gate, turning again, then exploding all the way up. So it's a longer dribble on that final stretch. And if you want to learn some different turns that you can use, I'm going to put a link on the screen right now. It'll take you over to 10 different turns that you can use to change direction with the ball. So for this drill, you can go through it 5 or 6 times, and that will be a good amount of repetitions. Alright guys, really good dribbling session there, and as you can see in just those 5 drills, you're incorporating all the different components of dribbling. So this is a great way to actually identify any weaknesses you might have in your dribbling. You might have really good close control, but your speed dribbling might not be up to par, or you might be really fast with the ball, but your close control might not be as sharp as you want it to be. So if you do these drills, you can actually identify where you're struggling, so you know where you need to put in more hours to improve that. So really good session today, and if you want to check out MAGNETICO, which is my very own 7-day close control control dribbling training program. I'm going to put the link to that in the description box below. I'll also put a link on the screen right now, which will take you to day 1, which is absolutely free, but it's a great program for developing that close control at top speed, so check that one out. But if you did enjoy today's video, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe button for weekly training videos, and I will see you guys in my next video.